Hi everyone, welcome back to our English enrichment lesson for grade 1 with teacher Rick. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about the world. So remember, last lesson we saw the 5 continents. Remember the 5 continents. What are the 5 continents? We have Asia, where we live, okay, where Thailand is in Asia. Then we have Europe. So Europe is next to Asia, where you have many countries like Great Britain, the UK, France, Italy, Spain. Then we have Africa. Okay, so where you have the lions, giraffes, zebras, where you have Egypt, the desert, the pyramids. Then we have America. So remember, we saw that America, we can divide it in North America, where you have the USA, Canada, and South America, where you have, for example, Brazil, Argentina. So America, North America and South America. And the last continent is Oceania. So where you have Australia and New Zealand. Okay, Oceania. Then we saw where people live. So remember, we saw the city, big city like Bangkok, where you have many people living together, city. Then you have town, it's like a small city. You also have many people, but not as many, okay? So it's like a city, but smaller. And then we have the village and the countryside. So the village is small, you have fewer people, and usually you have farms with animals, people growing food, vegetables, fruit, rice fields, okay? So where you have a lot of trees and fewer people, okay? Living in small villages. So today we are going to see where animals live, okay? So last lesson was where people live. Today is where animals live. So you have the natural world. So we're going to see some of these places, okay? So we're going to start with one that you already know, that is in the song. So we have the mountains. Remember, so mountains, they go very high. And you have some animals living there. So we have the mountains. Then we have places with a lot of trees and a lot of plants. So we call this place a forest. So let's just practice this word together, okay? Let's have a look here. So how do we write forest? Forest. So now let's practice. Repeat after me. Forest. Good. One more time. Forest. Okay, that's it. So a forest. So a forest is a place where you have a lot of trees, many trees. And you have many animals that live in the forest. Now we're going to see a kind of forest, okay, that is the jungle. So let's have a look at the word first. How do you write jungle? Jungle. Jungle. So now let's practice and repeat after me, okay? Jungle. Good. One more time. Jungle. Okay, that's it. Very good. So a jungle is a forest, but a special kind of forest. You have many trees, many plants, many flowers, many animals that live in the jungle. Usually the jungle is very hot. Okay, it's hot and there is a lot of rain, so it's very wet. Okay, remember the word wet. So a lot of rain, a lot of water, and very hot. Okay, so this forest we call a jungle. And you have many animals that live in the jungle. Maybe you know the story and the Disney movie, Mowgli, the Boy of the Jungle. So that's a jungle. So you have monkeys, tigers, snakes, you can have elephants, a lot of animals in the jungle. Now, another place where animals live that exists especially in Africa is the savannah. So in the savannah, you also have trees, but not many trees. Okay, so you have some grass, some trees. Sometimes it rains and it's wet. Sometimes no rain, so it's dry. And many animals live in the savannah. Maybe you know the movie The Lion King. So those animals live in the savannah in Africa. So you have the lion, you have zebras, giraffes, elephants, African elephants, cheetahs. So many animals live in the savannah too. So let's have a look at the word now. So how do we write savannah? S-A-V-A-N-N-A, savannah. So now let's practice the word. Repeat after me. Savannah. Good. One more time. Savannah. Okay, that's it. So the savannah in Africa, where you have lions, giraffes, cheetahs, zebras, rhinos, hippos, so a lot of different animals. Now, another place where animals can live is the meadow. So in the meadow, you have a lot of grass, but not many trees, okay? So also only a few trees, and then you have a lot of grass. So some animals live in the meadows because they like to eat grass. So for example, the buffaloes, they like to live in the savannah, in the meadows. In the meadows where they have a lot of grass, okay? So now let's have a look at this word. See, how do we write meadow? M-E-A-D-O-W. Meadow. Meadow. So now let's practice the word. Repeat after me. Meadow. Good. One more time. Meadow. Good. So meadow, where you have a lot of grass, green grass, and not many trees, okay? So mainly grass, open fields where animals can eat. They have a lot of food there to eat, okay? So that's the meadow. Now we're going to see 3 more places that are very different, okay? So one is we can call the wetlands. Wetlands. So remember, the word wet is when you have a lot of water. So wetlands are like a mix of land and water. So you have a lot of water. Sometimes it rains a lot and you have a lot of water. You have also some trees. And usually the wetlands are by the sea, where you have a lot of water, by the oceans, or by a river, where you also have a lot of water. So these are called the wetlands. So some animals live there because they like the water. Some of them live inland and in the water too. So they have the 2 things. So the wetlands. So let's have a look at the word. How do we write it? So you already know wet. Wet. W-E-T-L-A-N-D. And then S if you want to use the plural, okay? Wetlands or wetland. So now let's practice the word. Repeat after me. Wetlands. Good. One more time. Wetlands. Okay, that's it. So for example, in the wetlands, you can have the monitor lizard, those big lizards that live on land and in the water. They can run and they can swim, okay? So the wetlands, you have both land and water. Now, a very different place is the desert. The desert. So in the desert, you have no water. It's very, very dry and very, very hot. Okay, so you have a lot of sand. It's a hard place for animals to live. But you still have some animals that live in the desert. It's hard because there is no water. And we need water to drink, right? So if it's a place without water, it's difficult to live. But some animals live there. For example, the camel. The camel lives in the desert because they can store water, so they can spend days and days and days with no water. You have some snakes and some lizards that also live in the desert. So now let's have a look at the word. How do we write desert? D-E-S-E-R-T. Desert. Desert. So now let's practice the word. Repeat after me. Desert. Okay, good. One more time. Desert. Okay, very good. That's it. So the desert. A lot of sand, no water, no trees, no rivers, nothing. Only sand, sand, sand. Okay, so our last place is a little bit like the desert, but very, very different. So in this place, you have a lot of ice and snow. So there are no trees, just ice and snow. So these regions exist in the North Pole and in the South Pole. So we can call them polar regions. Polar regions. So in the North Pole, where you have the polar bear who lives on the ice, can swim. It hunts for seals and fish. So that's in the North Pole. And then you have the South. In the South Pole, you don't have polar bears there, but you have penguins and other animals. It's also a very difficult place to live. It's very, very cold. Very, very cold. You have a lot of ice, a lot of snow. So no trees, no plants. So, and a lot of water, ice and snow. So the animals that live there get their food and spend a lot of time in the ocean, in the water, because there are no trees and there are not many animals. So the animals have to go to the sea, to the ocean, to get some food, to eat other animals, fish, or seals, things like that. Okay? So now let's have a look at the words. So here you have two words, polar region. So polar is P-O-L-A-R. Polar. And then region, R-E-G-I-O-N. So region is like area, the place where they are. Okay? So polar region. Let's practice the words. Repeat after me. Polar region. Good. Polar region. Okay, very good. Or you can also say the North Pole, North Pole, South Pole, South Pole. So on the North Pole is where you have the polar bears. And in the South Pole, you have a lot of penguins. Okay? So today we've seen a lot of places where animals can live, right? Where animals live. So we have the mountains, forest, jungle, savanna, meadows or meadow, wetlands, desert, and the polar regions, the North Pole and the South Pole. So for this week, we're gonna have for homework, you have a worksheet. Okay, so you have two parts. In the first part, you have a map of the world and with the 5 continents, and you have to write the name of the continents next to where they are. Okay, I'm going to give you the words, the continents, so you can know how to write, and then in the map you write the name of the continents next to the continent. Okay, and in the second section, section 2, you're going to have some of these places we've seen today, like forest, jungle, desert, and you have the words and the pictures. So you just have to match the words to the right picture. Okay, so next week we're going to talk a little bit more about the natural world and where animals live. And next week we're going to see the water, so the rivers, lakes, ocean, sea, so where you have a lot of animals that live there too. You have fish, sharks, etc. So we're going to see that next week. Don't forget, print the worksheet and do the worksheet, and then ask your parents to take a picture and send it to me so I can check your homework. And that's all for today. So bye-bye, have fun, and see you next week.